All right, we are live. 3:37 in the morning Pacific time. I am streaming about human self-righteousness, economic enslavement of impact, and some behavioral solutions. First, let's check the stream because I have historically had technical difficulties. I've had shoulder pain, so now I'm getting a bunch of videos for shoulder pain. Adult film chiropractic adjustment. I promise you, I clicked on one of those videos. Anyway, it's my left bad boy. It's killing me. Let's dig. Yes. Okay. Looks like the stream is good to go. Videos. Anyway, it's my left bad boy. It's killing me. Let's dig. All right. All right. Okay, we're good. Solid and ready to go. You know what's funny? I'm actually asexual, gray asexual, so I have about a week out of the month every month where my I'm more neurotypical that way. That's maybe a better way to put it. But for the most part, I'm not interested in the old smells and juices and the whole concept. You can leave me out. So you can judge me for the chiropractic videos all you want, but that's the truth of who I am. Now, beyond that, my name's Kimani Okearah. I'm a behavioral scientist first and foremost. I'm a cognitive linguist. Linguistics is a form of behavioral science, and I'm a cognitive linguist, which we research the creation and delivery of meaning, and you're welcome to join the field. As an academic field, I guess it's only been cognified since... Cognified, is that the term? Titled and established since like the 70s, but regardless, it's a space with a lot of philosophy as well, and that has regurgitated a lot of philosophy and calls it new discovery. So I'm a cognitive linguist first and foremost, and then past that I'm a producer of the entertainment product, as I call it. So that's media production, films, television shows, and other sideline media efforts like my 10-year NBA photography career. So I don't want to go around seeking too much clout, but I have been a producer or a director or an assistant director on probably something that you've seen or enjoyed. And I'll tell you what, at 34 years old, I'm very proud. Again, no clout. I don't want to transact in clout. That's one of the things I'm talking about. But I do want to transact in being proud of yourself for what you've accomplished in the world, especially if you've achieved the goals that you set out for yourself. So at 34, I've actually achieved a lot of goals I've set out for myself, to the point where I don't really know that there's truly a mountain to climb. All right, but beyond that, some of my peak credits, I don't love doing this. But, I worked for The Bachelor, I've worked for Smosh, I've worked for the Young Turks, some of the more visible names. My career since 2015 has not been very prolific because I had my 6th surgery in 2015 where they removed even more of my intestine. So that brings me to one of the cemented reasons why I'm talking about what I'm talking about today. So this is what my intestines look like inside of me. Let's see if I can get up without pulling. Yeah, I can do it. Okay, well. Sorry if you're squeamish, but I'm the one going through it. You'll get over it. Look, there's a cross of scar tissue on my stomach. There's actually 2 crosses. But there's 6 surgeries overall. And the result is gastroparesis, a paralyzed ascending colon. This area right here was from an assault I suffered in 2016, where a very cruel person who knew that I had just had a surgery weaponized that information against me, and really, as my family calls it, tried to unalive me. So, this sucks to go through, but I don't want to transact in self-pity. I used to for a long time without even realizing it. And then in 2017, I realized, you know what? I deserve to exist. I don't deserve this. I was born on crack in 1989, so my intestines didn't develop correctly, and I have to carry the bag for everybody else's cocaine use while I'm in poverty because I can't create economic impact. I'm too busy managing pain all day. And so that's one of the things we're talking about today. It's actually one of the things I'm going to lead off with. My research in Cogling is focused on self-righteousness. It's focused on what I call the pedestal, the platform that one adopts to dictate the value and meaning that another person is able to deliver. In exploring this, I've obviously had to subject myself to various conditions, but that's really not that big of a stretch for me. I just lean into who I naturally am and sort of maximize what other people might receive as flaws or a subversion of performance standards, which is exactly what they are. But that's part of it. So performance standards in the creation and delivery of meaning are often created to platform a self-righteous perspective, a self-righteous person, a self-righteous platform. And behaviorally, this self-righteous platform to dictate the meaning and value that another person is delivering is coming from an adrenaline rush. And just like I was born on crack, and my biological mom never got free of that poison the CIA introduced to her body. I don't want to transact the narrative of personal choice when the government funded the trafficking of that particular substance, and my biological mom got hooked on it at 16 years old. So, poisoning kids. That's what our tax dollars did. And literally, I got poisoned in the womb, and that's what you're looking at right now. I want to open up with talking about self-righteousness, but I guess I need to get over that. I need to get over the idea that people are going to steal and put their names on my stuff, because it's already happened. It's been my biggest fear with anything that I do, and it already happened, so I've already kind of suffered through the fear. It wasn't that big of a deal. It made me jump out my socks a little bit and start doing things I wouldn't normally do, like, claim my biological granduncle. Okay, this is my biological grandmother's cousin, who's a very famous individual, but I don't know him, and I feel like it's tacky to bring it up. So, but yeah, for those, just to nip that curiosity in the bud, I am the grandnephew of one James Earl Jones. Shout out to my granduncle. I love you very much. We've never met, but I have had conversations with your brother Matthew, my other granduncle, and I love you too, Matthew. Heart Turned to Stone is a bop. We need to bring that back. We need to get that going. That's a great song. So, me, I grew up in, I was born on crack in 1989. And because they had to immediately do a surgery on me as I was pulled out of the womb, they called my biological mother unfit. She was 21 years old. And the handmaids tailed me right up out of my biological family and sold me to strangers. And I'm not fluffing up any language. I'm just stating the objective reality of what occurred. And what occurred was the federal government poisoned my biological mother by trafficking a synthetic substance that ruins your dopamine and serotonin receptors upon a single use. I was born on that substance, which caused malformations in my intestines that I could die from at any time. And I have coded into my brain the receptor damage for serotonin and dopamine, which makes me physically brain damaged from the federal government trafficking cocaine. And these conditions come from exactly what I'm talking about, self-righteousness. Who the hell was so self-righteous to say that we're going to, from an official federal standpoint, traffic cocaine into the lives of U.S. citizens? Doesn't matter what the outcome was. It doesn't matter that you're trying to fund a political subversion in Nicaragua. That's not... What? It's the U.S. government. Like, if y'all... Like, what? So, decisions were made at a certain layer, and I'm not going to attribute this to the entire CIA or the entire body of the federal government, but there are individuals who were equipped with authority who leaned into their self-righteousness to then corrupt that authority to do shit like this. And now I have to deal with it. And y'all keep me in poverty. Y'all keep me in poverty. Okay? I know I'm in where I'm streaming from right now, I'm lucky to be here. I don't live here. Somebody very dear to me lives here, and they were needed me to house sit while they were away. And that's how I have good enough internet to stream to you right now. Otherwise, I wouldn't have good enough internet to stream to you because I'm living in a storage attic. Because I can't create economic impact with my disability. I spend a good amount of every day managing pain. I have various tools and instruments and techniques to survive this. And it takes up a lot of time. So the impact I am able to create in the economy is something I've been doing a long time. It's just intellectual property organization, production plants, etc. I've done, and but we'll get into that in a minute. The self-righteousness to introduce cocaine, crack cocaine, into African American and indigenous communities. I'm both Afro-Indigenous. It's just insane. What are we talking about? And that's coming from the federal government authority. And then the state of California comes in and they call my biological mother unfit. They call my entire biological family unfit, by the way. I'm 6 months old. They steal me from my biological family and they sell me to strangers. Now, to those strangers, I call them my foster foundation family. That's another aspect of self-righteousness. And this is all my experience. I was sold to strangers so they could then transact their self-righteousness. And when I didn't go along with that, even subconsciously, I became a subvert to be punished. And to this day, I'm still treated like a subvert to be punished by a majority of the people that the state assigned me to. It's cruelty. Beyond that, I don't have access to the economy. And there are so many people like me that don't have basic access to the economy because at some layer there's some self-righteous asshole who's preventing that access to the economy. For what objective? The pedestal. Self-righteous prescription is what I call it. The pedestal of self-righteousness, social dominance behavior, the flex energy. It's the same exact chemical behavior that drives chimpanzees to fling poo. That is what causes the human animal to become so self-righteous that they dictate the meaning and value of another person and force them into the margins and force them to survive the margins. So, I think where we've been on behavioral autopilot since the dawn of man, we're only a few hundred years past like root barbarism, and self-righteousness is the behavioral root of all violence in the human animal, and I want everybody to interrogate their role with that, because we are a hive mind creature. Y'all don't know this, but we are a hive mind creature. That's how I'm communicating with you right now. I'm not speaking. I'm performing a series of noises through a hole in my face, and you are interpreting the patterns that I'm performing. You are receiving the intention of meaning that I am looking to share, and you are, most importantly, empathizing with that intention of meaning, which allows you to receive it. When you adopt a position of self-righteousness, you don't empathize with the meaning that I'm attempting to deliver. You adopt a position of judgment. And this is where society is lost right now. Everybody is looking to persecute each other as chimpanzees flinging poo. And when you do this, when you are trolling or whatever the fuck you're doing, I need you to interrogate what the hell the objective is. Because if it's just to tear another person down, then you're being weak-minded, and you're the pathetic person who needs to be performing that way to feel good about yourself. That doesn't make any sense. Leave it alone. Who cares? If it doesn't concern you, leave it alone. Why have an opinion about it? Okay. Sorry to the show Warrior Nun, but I'm going to use you as an example. I saw that title on Netflix, Warrior Nun. I'm like, why the hell would they make this? So I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was exactly as stupid as the title was. But outside of me quipping about it right now, I'm not out on the Warrior Nun Reddit thread disparaging all the people who like the show. It's not for me. I'm not the target audience. I'm moving on. There's only 24 hours in the day. I'm not going to waste any of them transacting self-righteousness about Warrior Nun. That's... It is a ridiculous premise, but okay, it's not for me. I'm not going to sit here and wipe my ass with it. So I want people to stop doing that. Stop looking to persecute each other. Start collaborating on meaning and survival. Because one of the things that we're doing is everybody's looking to persecute each other, so the armor against that persecution is clout. Everybody's looking to protect themselves by manufacturing clout. And you all becoming little clout zombies. Okay? It's ridiculous. Clout is not a real currency. Merit is the real currency. Alright, so human self-righteousness is interrupting our ability to transact meaning, to create and deliver meaning, and share that with one another, which is fundamentally what language is for. That's what allows us to be a hive mind. Now, I have tons of theories about how we got here from evolving our basic survival needs, and I welcome all behavioral scientists across the world to start thinking about that, and the long-term macro anthropologists too, because we are lost in self-righteousness, y'all. What the hell? Hey, everybody got main character energy, and you should. Nobody's saying otherwise. But what we need to do is stop transacting persecution, and the persecution is being transacted based on stupid things, like what role we serve in the economy. Hey, everybody serves a role in the economy. Even the people that you see as doing nothing, we have professional consumers now. That's a class of the economy. Those are professional consumers, and if they keep things moving, I don't see why anybody has a problem with it. Frankly, I think that's a better use of transactable value than it going to the people that are hoarding it. Okay? Because the rest of us are living in poverty or soft poverty or inches away from the devastation. And when that devastation hits, you end up out on the street. It happened to my brother who died in the streets. And it probably happened to somebody in your family if you live in the United States. I've also lived in Argentina, where the economy is very poor right now. And I encourage everybody to listen to what I have to say about self-righteousness and its impact on the economy. So we are in year 600 of behavioral regurgitate in this white-black paradigm, and this is born from self-righteousness. A man named Robert Baker in 1553 crashed his ship on the west coast of Africa and apparently all his crewmates died. And then he traveled up the coast. I might be getting the years wrong. I'm just going off the cuff. He traveled up the coast of West Africa, ran into 7 or 8 different nations, and all he wrote about in his journals were how black everybody was. And he couldn't explain it. And it's like, dude, everybody had different currencies and governments and languages. Write about that. Different outfits and customs and things. Write about that. You visited the kingdom of Benin before colonization. That's incredible. The hell? Come on now. Write about the substance. Don't write about what you see. But anyway, I think he was there for like 7 or 9, like between 7 and 9 years, and the French pick him up and they ship him back to England. Once he gets back to England, the Tudor society starts debating the blackness of the African. And they decide in the 30-year debate that it took that the African was black because of the curse of Ham. Now, again, I'm going off the cuff, so I might be getting some academic details wrong, and when you guys get to know me, that might happen a lot. I'm not very good at the academic regurgitate. I feel like it's a waste of time. It's, again, a performance standard that's for you. If I point the arrow in the right direction, the details will fall into place. And I think for the most part, my academic details are great, but you don't see me Googling things and wasting time on that. So Robert Baker, I call him Bobby B. Bobby Baker, he takes his idiotic, what is blackness idea back to Tudor society in the mid-1500s. Mind you, medieval Europe had already interacted with black Africans like for centuries. We just took a break. We just took a break from the interaction for a few centuries, and they lost the plot. So this guy brings back a new plot in the mid-1500s, and they're like, oh, how are these humans so black? What the hell? And they explain it with the curse of Ham, which I believe Ham was one of Noah's sons on the ark, and there's a couple of verses about Noah basically getting drunk and passing out in bales of hay, and then his sons witnessed him in the hay, and then Ham is the one who's like embarrassed and refuses to cover him up with a blanket, and then his other sons cover him up with a blanket out of respect for their father. So when he wakes up, he's mad, and he says, Ham, you are cursed. You and all your descendants are cursed to serve your brothers in perpetuity. And then that's black was the curse of Ham. So by contrast, the English decided that they were white and holy, and black meant unholy. So when we use these terms, this is literally what we're saying today. These are brands of self-righteousness. And this is why I'm like saying, guys, that's like 600 years old. Nobody alive today is responsible for it. I'm out here saying, hey, if you're a quote-unquote white person, there's no shame in being proud of your cultural lineage. Everybody's contributed something great to where we're at today. Everybody should be proud of their Everybody should be proud of their cultural lineage. Okay? Like, you're German, like, oh, what about the it's like, dude, that was like, let's be generous and say that was a good 20-year period of history, and we're not going to define centuries of Germanic lore by something that happened because some dipshit, some self-righteous asshole got in charge and wanted to kill all the Jews in society and kill all the people that he deemed unworthy to live in his utopia. Self-righteousness, one hell of a drug. It's literally a drug. This is what I'm ultimately getting at. I'm curious to get into the lab and test this with like experts like Andrew Haberman who could test this right now. He could set up an EEG test, and he's probably way more advanced in his knowledge of how to test these things. But self-righteousness, the execution of it, the practice of it, the adoption of it, even if it's subconscious, produces adrenaline rush. And just like you can get addicted to a synthetic drug like crack cocaine, which blows your serotonin and dopamine receptors wide open physically, like cartoon barrels that are blown open at splayed out like Acme or something. That's what happens to your receptors in your brain off one use of cocaine. That's what the feeling is. And I don't know the feeling, just so we're clear. But that's what the feeling is. And I mean that. Because like if I touch that stuff, I could get addicted. I was born on it. Like, I don't touch it. No. That's the scariest thing for me. But anyway, that's what the feeling is. It's your receptors physically being blown open, which is why if you do it repetitively, it never feels as good as the first time. It feels good. That feels good is your where your receptors being blown open physically. You're causing physical brain damage. When you smoke a little weed, that's just cannabinoids blocking, and there's argument. You ask the neuroscientist how much cannabis indulgence can affect your brain, but the synthetics, the ones that are meticulously designed to mess with your neural pathways, goodness gracious, there's no way to save the world from that, huh? Well, those of us in the cinema craft, I would love if we stopped glorifying the snow powder. I'm about to go watch Deadpool next month. Ryan, it's this month. Holy crap. It's already the 8th of July. Wow. Speaking of, I got to get in touch with Lakers and Kobe Estate. We got a project to plan coming up next month, huh? I don't have very much time on that. So, let's talk about the economic enslavement of impact. And again, I'm trying to teach without transacting in blame. There's a lot of eyes on my work right now that came to my work because of conjecture-based policing and the resulting weaponized procedure. And I know where that was sourced from and how and why that all developed. And had I had my own agency this whole time, I don't think it would have happened. But here I am, taking my agency away from everybody who has stolen it to form conjecture-based policing. And I want to paint the overall macro problem first and foremost. So I've been in cinema for 20 years, and I've been in cognitive linguistics for 8 years as a researcher. The problem, we work in intellectual property, and then beyond that, we got my biological family, which I met at 19, so I'm 34, I'm 15 years into my knowledge. It's a good half my life of being with my biologicals and synthesizing my foster foundation, my biological family, into one big happy thing, regardless of how any of them feel about it. But when I met my biological family at 19, and my granny tells me, meeting number 1, her name's Barbara Wallace Hanna. She passed away in October 2021. She told me day 1, "Oh, James Earl Jones is my cousin." And when I tell you, I'm like, oh my God, these people are making this up. These people, it seemed like one of those things. We're just making it up. Oh, it turns out that's damn true. Barbara is his baby cousin by 11 years. I don't know which of Robert's siblings he comes from. I believe it's his brother Brian. I think that's her dad, but I could be wrong. It might be one of his sisters. That was her mom. But Robert Earl Jones was James Earl Jones' dad, and he anchored the entire family. So my grandmother had a lot of reverence for Robert Earl Jones, and her firstborn son was named Robert Earl Jackson. He died November 2021. And I'm going to explain the context of those deaths in a while that were COVID related, but they were also related to many other things. Since the feudal system, and maybe beyond that, before that, any instance where economic impact is enslaved or the results of which otherwise belong to somebody who didn't create the impact itself, we're just kind of in the feudal system. And we need to behaviorally evolve out of this if we want to sustain our population and we want to provide our best united chance at surviving the cosmos long term. We can't keep on transacting self-righteousness using the economy, and that's basically what's going on. So we work in intellectual property, and I brought up my great-granduncle Robert Earl Jones because I want to make it clear to everybody I have 90 years of family sweat equity in the craft that I think about and bring to the table as part of my own experiences. And I don't want people to take that lightly. You can call it nepotism all you want, but if There are certain businesses that work as family businesses, and guess what? The cinema craft is one of them. Carpentry is one of them. Okay? We're crafting a product, an end result. So knowing the systems of it and knowing the throughput and knowing how is a big thing. I want to be clear, I'm not plugged into James Earl Jones Resources, Network, anything like that. It's just enough plot armor to protect me from some of the things that have happened. But in the macro, we've been doing this for a long time, but I'm going to stick with my 600-year-old window. We transact intellectual property. That's where value is created, is intellectual property. And intellectual property is formed and transacted as one unit. As a behavior, we need to make an adjustment. We need to be able to define that intellectual property as a puzzle with a hard cap of equal pieces that account for the impact, the totality of impact required for that intellectual property to exist. So across from every intellectual property, there's a totality of impact. Let me get my x-rays out of here. And there's 100% impact. Okay, and this impact can be measured against the result. Like, I'm preparing Press Pass Season 1, a 24-episode mockumentary sitcom. It's like The Office mixed with ESPN 30 for 30. We'll get more into that later, but that's the result. 24-episode package, 9-month film schedule. It doesn't matter what years we film. That's what we're going with. There's a totality of impact, 100% impact across from the result. That is Press Pass Season 1, 24 episodes of this 24 to 35-minute episode mockumentary sitcom. That totality of impact is measured not across one unit of intellectual property in Season 1 or the franchise. It's measured across a puzzle that I've created. 5,309,160 pieces of impact that measure the totality of 100% impact required to complete Season 1 of Press Pass. Now, it's at 5 million pieces because that's the scale of what we were going for an expensive web series in 2021, but now that the new CBAs have rolled in, we're going to go for the full T1 SVOD. Come what may. And you know what? The SAG y'all did a great job. Because y'all have my cast members feeling real good about what's due, what's coming, and it did make some adjustments in our show budget that kind of ballooned everything. But I have a feeling we're going to be okay once everybody gets this and the economy decides they want to support me instead of persecute me for innovating a behavior. Not really though. More so synthesizing something that has been obscured in history. Okay, so I call this behavior the impact puzzle because the first step is you take your intellectual property concept and you establish it by writing a deed, an old-timey property claim deed. And for a deed, you need fixed points, measurable distances, and impartial witness. I work on blockchain to create the fixed points, measurable distance, and impartial witness, of which blockchain handles all three. Now, unfortunately for me, y'all turned blockchain into a bad word after I started trying to establish this networked impact behavior, and I did this in March of 2021, officially notarized. I started the research on it in December 2020, and I finally got my head wrapped around what blockchain was and did fully understood by February 2021. Then I wrote a paper explaining my perspective on taking the non-fungible tokens and using them to account for impact in a networked puzzle. Y'all decided to turn blockchain into a bad word because, again, that transactable self-righteousness. And this is going to be a little weird because that transactable self-righteousness has blockchain in a place where everybody and their mom is holding it on trial. And y'all don't even know why you're holding it on trial, but the number one thing is, it's this energy sink. Okay, there's two different formats for how blockchain works. There's proof of work and there's proof of stake. Proof of work is the one that you're thinking about for the energy sink. Very few blockchains work like that, but Bitcoin, which is like, the major one, that's a proof of work blockchain. So that is an algorithm that's predetermined that unlocks the currency as machines hash at the algorithm. That is what y'all would consider to be an energy sink compared to the other technology that people use, which is more of a LimeWire system. So I could run it right now if somebody gave me $70,000 to stake against my integrity to provide authenticity stamps on Ethereum. Anybody? I'll set up I'll mine it. I'll set up a validator, please. Let me do that. But so a proof of stake network, as I just said, I stake my value to participate in the network as a validator. So I provide authenticity stamps, or my machine provides authenticity stamps, and the people using the network to validate information pay us as validators to provide the authenticity stamps. Now, the neat thing about the network is the authenticity stamps are provided in the exact same millisecond for the block of information that layers theoretically infinite amount of transactions in the block. It's whatever transactions are happening in that specific millisecond that are assigned to that specific section of the network that's then validated and recorded in a block and then kept in a chain. So a block, layered transactions, which actually lowers the carbon footprint of transacting data, because if you layer data transactions in a block, like for example, if you send me PayPal for teaching you this, which you should, paypal.me/thecomonsta. If you send me a little PayPal, you're paying for, you're sending me value, but there's an energy cost of that single transaction on the PayPal network. It's not very high, but it's there. It's a measurable energy footprint. So at scale, you see, the entire PayPal network might have a scalable energy footprint from just the consistent amount of transactions going through every millisecond. So if PayPal were to switch their transaction network to a blockchain, or find a blockchain that exists and work with them to facilitate a transaction record, you and I, if we used PayPal in the exact same millisecond we file a transaction at the same time, we'd actually share the energy footprint of that transaction. It's really cool. That transaction would go in a block with everybody else in the same millisecond, and that block would be recorded at the same time by everybody who's on the back-end validator network providing authenticity stamps, which could be hundreds of thousands of people, and I think on some of these chains it actually is that now. So it's a great way for people to participate in networks they believe in, to provide authenticity and network information and impact. So it turned into a bad word because a lot of y'all just weren't about learning about it. You guys wanted to listen to people like this idiot. Okay. I'll show. Let's use this fucking moron to display what transactable self-righteousness looks like.
Friend of the show, Paris Hilton. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
I jumped in.
I know, I heard. I'm so happy I taught you what they were.
You did. You taught me what's up, and then I bought an ape.
Is this a German
I got
thing?
an ape too, because I saw you on the show with people, and you said you got on MoonPay, so I went and I copied you and did the same thing.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
This is disgusting. This is disgusting. These apes are straight up trying to fucking milk their audience, dude. That's it. There's nothing there. This is an ad. This is a hashtag ad, and the hashtag ad is basically saying, hey, give me your money, dumbass. Give me your fucking money, you stupid fuck. That's what this hashtag ad is. I hate it. I hate cryptocurrency so much. I hope all these rich people lose all their money. I'm sorry. I hate crypto. I fucking hate the NFT shit. I hate the apes. There's such transparent fucking Ponzi schemes. I hate it so much. I'm gonna end up watching that 2-hour folding ideas video. Like, that's how much I fucking hate it. You know what I mean? It just makes me so angry. People try to act like they're gonna really help out the creator economy. It's gonna revitalize it. It's gonna revolutionize the creator economy. It's like, it's not. It's a Ponzi scheme, okay? It's a Ponzi scheme for an ugly duck or an ugly ape that they fucking copy paste. It's created by people that don't know anything about fucking art. It is disgusting. And also on top of that, like, the art space has always been very fucking elitist, very insular, and also been used as a way to fucking hide your assets. Okay,
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that moron. That's where y'all got your impression of my labor and everybody else's labor of blockchain. Which, to me, this is a conspiracy to limit competition. He is a media producer, and he is infringing on my right to compete as a media producer. All we are doing as media merchants is using this technology. It's a transaction tool, you fucking ape. He's the ape. It's a transaction tool. We're using a transaction tool to create and network intellectual property impact, which is all that is. So those apes, even though I disagree with their business model and I disagree with how they release, and I think that they absolutely encourage certain trade practices that were harmful to market growth, those are objectively exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Now, they came a month after me. I put the first impact puzzles on the blockchain in March of 2021. In April of 2021, the Bored Ape Yacht Club dropped, and they released 10,000 pictures, variable pictures of this ape that each had different qualities and traits. Each one is unique, but they're all the same ape, to form a networked collaborative brand in the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And people bought the pieces, and they inflated the value to sell to somebody else. And this happened for 3 months in a row, from April through April, May, June. Yeah, I probably want to say by June, July, these things were trading for around for $700,000 to $1.5 million. Justin Bieber bought one for $1.5 million. Now, the reason why they bought the apes, one, it's a 4chan esoteric where they were trying to sneak in, like, oh, how many different minoritized groups can we offend with this art collection? And let's see how much value people will put into it. Tee hee. So that's why I didn't buy one when it came out. I thought that was hella stupid. And I don't regret that at all. I don't. I know what's coming for me. I'm fine. I don't regret that at all. So they dropped 10,000 apes. Now, I think they encouraged a certain trade practice that was harmful, but objectively speaking, each ape is a piece of impact in that brand to be developed by the customer. It's the same thing I'm doing. It's the same exact thing. Piece of impact and intellectual property to be developed by the customer. He says, oh, it's not going to revolutionize the creator economy. You don't know shit about the creator economy. You don't participate in the creator economy. You enslave what we do in the creative economy so you can sell your clicks. And I've had enough of you. The entire world has had enough of your garbage. Okay. For those who don't think Hassan and I, we go back. I've never met the man personally.
Also believe
But I do know who paved the way for him. I know who paved the way for his media
that the
career.
whole, all the information about
And the Starks sent on. Maybe what everybody's saying is actually true. Or maybe 2 + 2 does in fact equal 4.
But what I don't understand is what.
By the way, this is when I was producing for the Young Turks back in the day. And we did a piece on how the Flat Earth Society was gaining traction in the news, as they do every few years. Every few years, it seems like there's a group of people that really want to believe the Earth is flat, and they get a lot of news presence. So we were doing a little story on that.
The edge of the Earth. And so let's just check in with him and see if in fact the globe is a sphere or if there is a wall to be protected. It's not the wall, it's not the stars, it's the Dothrakis!
It is known that the Earth is flat.
Oh, so what's behind you?
Behind me, there is a wall of ice that goes up to space.
It was fire. What are you talking about?
But why would there be a wall of ice if you're in Dothraki and you're in a Dothraki field?
All right. So I got fired from that job because Anna scapegoated me for something I didn't do, and then turns out Cenk wanted to hire his nephew. So back then they were a little bit more strapped for cash. Well, let's be real. If you're in Hollywood and you're not churning out the big projects, you're strapped for cash because you're in debt. And I'm here as your savior. Whoa, look at me. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. Okay. So Hassan and I have intersections. We'll just put it that way. And he's out here diminishing the value of my labor enslaving my labor, really. And we're going to talk about this because this has happened in so many different contexts, and enslaving is absolutely the right word. So he's dictating to his audience. How many views does this have? This particular clip is 360,000 views. I don't know how much damaging this was. This was 2022. By then, people had already kind of made up their mind about what they were going to do as the general public. But I want people to understand blockchain is just a notary service that arranges information you notarize in blocks and keeps them in a chain. I'm pausing for effect because you all adopted a pedestal of self-righteousness to police the adoption of that. Acting like big tech wanted everybody to be on chain code so they can enslave your information. It's the opposite, guys. You can notarize your information as your property and then set the terms and free that information from big tech. And that's why I think the propaganda storm got everybody, because I learned the hard way through this exact situation. Guys like him are paid propagandists to send out whatever message their handlers want them to send out. And Willie Mack show did a pretty good. He's doing phenomenal work on what Hassan's been up to. Hassan, you got to do better, my boy. You got to do better, my butt. You are a performative socialist who has no intentions of having any real consequence in any policy that actually improves people's lives. But I do think that you love this theater of self-righteousness and you love being the center of attention. I also think, I know that it eats at you that you don't have any real solutions, and a lot of what you do is just performative, and you're just going to keep doing this. You're going to keep on going out and doing a dance every day for 8 hours a day, streaming to your audience for longer than DMV employees sit at a desk, and just sort of meandering through time, not having any real consequence outside of generating your kingship with your audience. Sad to see, man. We could have collaborated. I could have welcomed you in on this. But what did you do? You blocked me. Because you chose to dictate to the world that blockchain and cryptocurrency is a bad word. I want everybody to think of blockchain as like a spreadsheet that everybody's sharing. And any changes made to the spreadsheet is a public change, and it's notarized by that validator system I was talking about. So within this spreadsheet that everybody's sharing, there's a protocol for value transfer, and that's the cryptocurrency. There's a protocol for property, definition, and claim. You can think of that like a page on the spreadsheet with each non-fungible token being a cell. So A1, put a flag in A1 and say, hey, this is my ape. I'm going to sell this for $100,000 to Justin Bieber. And then he buys it. Now he owns cell A1 with the ape in it. And sure, you can right-click and save as the picture of the ape, but that's the issue. We're trying to get away from the subscription-based economy, which enslaves everybody to an obligation of liquidity. And we're trying to create a better economy that works for everybody by transacting impact. So, let's get back to the root theory here. Across from every intellectual property in a brand, a product, a service, an experience, a distributed asset, there exists a totality of impact, 100%. Now, if you define the intellectual property as a puzzle, for lack of a better term, we were going with fractionalized ownership for a long time, that seemed to piss people off that wanted to enslave what I was doing for their own platform. When we define the work as a puzzle, you have now formed a hard cap accounting system for the impact required to complete that intellectual property. Now, once you have that accounting system, you can sell, this is what my paper's about, you can sell some pieces for audience development, and you can use other pieces to distribute to labor, converting the labor into impact-based property that the laborer owns. And with blockchain, this is why everybody's so gung-ho about blockchain. We can schedule a quarterly net profit treasury to distribute across from all of these puzzle pieces according to exactly the percentage owned by each contributor. Now, I want the SEC, this is hard to it's a lot, so there's a lot to talk about. But I'm in the crosshairs of regulators, and I just sort of adopted my position as an unpaid market coach. And y'all are going to have to pay me sooner than later, right? You're going to have to pay me one way or the other, so you may as well just set up my PayPal. Send me a couple waivers of grievance and actually do this the right way. And get rid of the clowns. I do want to make myself clear, absolutely clear, that the people that I know of, some of y'all I don't know about, so you're probably whatever. But the people that I do know about, we're gonna have to get rid of the clowns. I'm not saying violently, but this is an intellectual property market. Credit is a sacred thing. These people violated that. Okay. So this brings me back to the self-righteousness of the human animal and how it intersects with economic impact. So right now, we as intellectual property merchants, and I don't care if you're an entrepreneur, you're an intellectual property merchant, because whatever you're doing, it's under a brand, or your product has a name, or your service has a name, or your experience has a name, your distributed asset has a name. There's a way that you do business, so that's an intellectual property. I also want to be clear to regulators, the way that I view it and the way that legal precedent has established, the entity is separate from the intellectual property. So for Let Me Out Productions case, there's an entity that we do business as that's a state registered entity. That entity does business as Let Me Out Productions. Let Me Out Productions is an intellectual property. That intellectual property is a puzzle with a hard cap of pieces, 500,000 to be exact. 16% of that puzzle is available or will be for audience development, consumer development. So they can buy a piece of intellectual property, develop impact with it, and own the impact that they create. In the brand, each piece of impact is a seed, a franchise seed for impact puzzles. We're trying to spread this behavior. Now that brand puzzle has been attacked as unregistered securities offering by grifters, liars, and clowns who have enslaved my labor to work for their malicious nonsense narratives so they can platform themselves. The ringleader of this nonsense factory is Jordan Bain. Her fucking lapdog is Jason Charnick. Chris Hackett is a little weevil that wormed his way into the conversation. And Jacob Volsky is a full-on fraud. And all of these people have colluded on this malicious compliance narrative that impact puzzles form unregistered securities, and you actually have to launch this behavior as membership instead. So they launched this compliance narrative out of their own self-righteous douchebaggery, and then they claim to be the architects of my labor. So these are people that tried to literally enslave me. And they did. They got away with it. Because that was up to everybody else. And since nobody wanted to have an ethical backbone in their body, they were uplifting a bunch of fucking clowns telling a bunch of lies. Okay, I'll get into that in a little while. But anyway, let's recap. Across from every product, service, experience, distributed asset, and brand, there's a totality of impact. That totality of impact produces a result, like a fixed result, like season 1 of Press Pass, or a window of time, like 2024 Jimmy Fallon show from January to December. Across from the result of the window of time, you can measure the impact with a puzzle, a hard cap of pieces. My paper suggests 100,000 minimum, 10 million maximum for scalable centralized efforts in brands and products, services, experiences, distributed assets, which I call baby soda. BPSEDA, SEDA, whatever, but baby soda's fun to say. Brands, products, services, experiences, distributed assets. That's the intellectual property spectrum of intellectual properties that I feel can be converted into puzzles and maximized for consumer impact and labor impact. Now, what we do at Let Me Out Productions is, let's take season 1 of Press Pass, for example. Well, let me finish explaining the brand. The brand has 500,000 pieces. 16% of those pieces are on a slow release schedule that it's a speculation mitigation window. But each piece develops a franchise for the owner that they own in full. So, for example, I won't dox this individual, but 67831C here, they own company ownership token number 1. By the way, company means eat bread together, ownership is authority over, and token is proof. Proof of authority over, right to eat bread together. This percentage point is the amount of impact created, although this is a typo. This decimal point belongs over here. It's 0.0002% impact in the brand. Now, I know regulators don't like the language I use, but I'm a very deliberate, I've made very deliberate choices in the language that I've used to celebrate company and to illustrate the self-righteousness lawyers often exhibit to steal words in the first place, which is why so much confusion has been created. Company as a word exists to mean the group of performing artists that are performing theater company, and breaking bread with the audience after the experience. Because the theory in it is that the performer is creating impact, but the impact is reflected because the audience is there. And the audience is just as impactful to the story as the storyteller. So we earn the right to eat bread together because we've created this mutual impact. I shouldn't even have to explain this in the persecutorial context that I'm subject to. I was plagiarized. I was enslaved by Jordan Bain, Jason Charnock, Chris Hackett, Jacob Volsky. Jacob Volsky specifically infiltrated our fucking platform, signed terms not to do what he did, and then went ahead and did what he did anyway. The rest of those people are just amateur-ass clowns that should never work in intellectual property again once this comes to light of day, and I mean that. I mean that. With my full chest, and I think a lot of people, once this comes to the light of day, will fully agree with me. Because there's going to be a lot of people, they're going to be aghast that you clowns were out here marching around for years pretending to be the architects of my labor and networked impact and intellectual property, which you bastardized, formed rules against. One of the rules says, oh, you can't own the impact, it's got to be membership, which bastardizes the whole fucking fundamental to the behavior. Anyway, y'all people are clowns. Can't believe you marched yourselves out in front of Hollywood for years as plagiarists. That's hilarious. Spitting in my granduncle's blood like that. You understand you did the industry a service by demonstrating who you really are. Because we don't need people like you in the industry. I don't want to hear nothing about nepotism. Ever. A carpenter can be a father-son business and nobody says a word, right? Okay. I don't care about nepotism at all. I care about people that respect the craft. And for me, people that come from a legacy that the craft is rewarded, they're much more suited to respect the craft than these fucking amateur hour douchebags. Shame on them forever. And shame on anybody who's carrying the hashtag Film3 brand forward, because you are enslaving the labor of impact puzzles, and you're rewarding the membership, not ownership, pilgrim-ass behavior of Jordan Bain, Jason Charnock, Jacob Volsky, and Chris Hackett. Not Sacramento's Chris Hackett, by the way. Web3 Chris Hackett. Now, if anything untrue, if I've stated anything untrue with my experiences with these clowns, they're free to sue me for slander and libel, because I'll put it in print too. And then the burden of proof is on them that my experience with them is not what I've experienced, that they are not plagiarizing me and enslaving my work. These slavers. And everybody who piled onto that thinking they're going to benefit. Y'all know who you are. I'm not going to out you, though. At the end of the day, you're not responsible for deciding to enact that behavior, and you're certainly not responsible for showing up to it weekly like you're doing anything. These people are goons. And then they land on a labor replacement festival trying to march that out as a product. Everybody in the know. Have you ever heard of RKO? Exactly. I love it. Okay. Mitch, I think Andrea owes you a lot of money, and I think y'all need to examine a couple of conversations there. I think that's a smart thing to do, because decisions were made on your behalf to platform unethical garbage. I know you have nothing to do with it, but so I know it's just people trying to collude and platform their performative wokeness instead of just ethics. Ethics. Who ethics. It's the number one reason why nobody in general public is into blockchain and cryptocurrency and non-fungible tokens. It's really not about the technology. I think everybody gets it's a notarized layer of the internet that you can program like scheduled commissions on and stuff like that. That's cool. Like everybody gets that. It's the scammers, the grifters, the liars, as Hassan put it, the Ponzi's. Those 10,000 cartoons, I don't want anybody ever participating in those because they were always just nonsense. There's no underlying value to the intellectual property once it hits the market. At least an impact relationship, reading the deed or reading the outline or reading the project paper, what the impact is, and if that's worth the money to you, then buy the impact. And you're not buying that impact on the notion that you're going to sell that title to somebody else at a markup. You've just purchased the title to property. You're to create impact with that property. If you're going to hold that title and try to sell it to somebody else at a markup, that's the exact same unprotected risk that you're adopting when you buy sports tickets to do the same thing. The premise of the sports ticket is to go to the game and enjoy yourself. The premise of impact-based intellectual property is to develop the impact and enjoy yourself. That's it. There's no secure deposit of value. So what Jordan Bain and Jason Charnick and Chris Hackett and Jacob Volsky did was they enslaved my labor to work for them instead of for me. And they did so with compliance narratives. So they said they tried to publicly paint me as inherently criminal, which is very easy to do with my visual appearance. Now, mind you, I have 4 degrees. None of them are fancy. It's Associates of Science and Behavioral Science, Associates of Arts and Liberal Art. I got a minor in Linguistics, Phonetic Analysis, and a Bachelor's of Art in Film and Digital Media with the production focus. Now, I'm on my journey to a PhD, ideally, in Cognitive Linguistics, with a focus on self-righteousness and communication and the creation and delivery of meaning. Value is a form of meaning, so how do we create and deliver the value in the economy? Number one is through intellectual property. So we have to remove impact from the enslavement of one unit, and now we can transact impact with a puzzle. Regulators, stop trying to say that that's securities. It's not, clearly. And you're trying to use my labor as toilet paper to wipe your ass and form precedent with. That's no way to form a market, and I want y'all removed. Because y'all have this old-ass puppet marching around that you're pretending is the president, and clearly you're unsupervised assholes wiping your ass with our labor as blockchain merchants for your self-righteous authority. And that's why Gary Gensler told Richie Torres, oh, Pokemon card could be a security. We got to know more. No, you don't. It's a Pokemon card. It doesn't matter if there's a title on blockchain or not. It's not a secure deposit of value. Period. Now, y'all are all about objective market reality and the way that merchants promote. A Pokemon card is a piece of cardboard. There's honestly 9 billion of them printed. That's not a secure deposit of value. Anybody who buys a Pokemon card with the expectation of a passive gain is an idiot. You guys don't get involved to protect that customer. That's a moron. Okay? What you do is you get involved if the merchant is out here promoting that relationship from a Pokemon card. That's when you get involved and tell the merchant how to promote. And I believe that's the FTC's job, not your job as the SEC. Your job is to prosecute and examine and explore monopolies. Y'all have monopolized the trade of impact as one unit in intellectual property. Address that. That's your job. It's not to stick a thumb up my ass because Jordan Bain told you to. You're not her dog, okay? By the way, guys, they have our brand puzzle disabled. This is maybe $5,000 or $6,000 in total volume of trade. Okay, now let's look at the Bored Ape brand puzzle. Okay. Talk about unreasonable restraint of trade. Talk about conspiracy to limit competition. This is OpenSea's active party to unreasonable restraint of trade and conspiracy to limit competition. All because some dumbass really wants to be right about me scheming consumers to invest in Let Me Out Productions for passive reward. As though our puzzle pieces are not each exclusive franchise seeds that are meant to grow into an impact puzzle as designed. And the problem is, like, it's always been this way. We were trying to teach people the root behavior. We were trying to teach people how to expand the behavior. And everything that we did was enslaved by Jordan Bain, Jason Charnock, Chris Hackett, and Jacob Volsky. It was enslaved. They enslaved my work. They enslaved my labor. They enslaved me. They enslaved it. It was open source. I tried to teach everybody, hey, you can take your intellectual property, write a deed, declare it as a puzzle, and form a hard cap of pieces to account for impact. Here's how. That's all I was doing on Clubhouse in 2021, and these idiots said, oh, you can't do that. It's got to be membership instead. We're the architects. And that's what everybody marched a bunch of attention out to platform that instead. Got them on stage at Cannes Film Festival. Meanwhile, my brother dies in April 2021. My auntie Sylvia dies in June 2021. My birth mother Kim dies in September 2021. My grandmother Barbara, who I talked about earlier, dies in October 2021. And my uncle Robert Earl Jackson dies in November 2021. I don't know if any of my family members would have been helped had y'all actually supported our impact puzzles from day one, instead of trying to steal the behavior and put yourselves in the positions of the marquee and consequence credit. But that didn't work. I am James Earl Jones' grandnephew. I have plot armor for that. It's a little bit of plot armor, but it's just enough to where nobody in Hollywood was ever going to touch you once they figured that out. You might have gotten away with it otherwise. But, you're not worth it. You're not worth any amount of potential blowback. These are very clearly unique individual puzzle pieces in a collaborative impact brand. And we're the first in history. And y'all got OpenSea to disable the product as weaponized action, party to your narrative that we're somehow in violation of some compliance issue that nobody's been able to cite this entire fucking time. And there's not one written citation of the compliance issue that we are in violation of. It's just conjecture-based policing because a bunch of fucking morons don't know what company means or why it exists as a word. But they say, black man, word I don't understand, I'm going to adopt a self-righteous platform to police his behavior and his action. And in the case of these Film 3 goons, they decided that their best course of action was to try to replace me altogether, erase me altogether for my own work, and put themselves in the credit position. I knew what they were doing 6 months into the market formation. I didn't have words to articulate it until very recently. It's hard to articulate being enslaved by other people, strangers to me. Enslaved for the transaction of self-righteousness that they don't have a fucking objective. That's the number one insult to me. My objective is to convert labor into property for every contributor of impact in an intellectual property. Period. What's their objective? Oh, that sounds cool. Let's change a few things and put our fucking names on it. What are you? Like a 10-year-old wouldn't do that. And yet Jordan Bain, a 50-something-year-old woman, is leading a group of people to regurgitate this behavior for years on end. You're a bunch of fucking diseased clowns who have no business anywhere near any intellectual property market ever again. I think you'll be lucky to work at a fucking name brand gas station. My God. Absolute disease. What a fucking gross-ass group of people that is. If you are still affiliating with Film 3 today, you are a stupid, stupid person. And you've chosen a manipulative politic over the objective truth and a baseline ethic. And you can thank Jordan Bain and Jason Charnock and Jacob Volsky and Chris Hackett for misleading you and fraudulently advertising that they are somehow of consequence to my labor and that I come from them somehow. Fuck them all. Thank you to David Bianchi specifically. It honestly makes me cry when I think about how you're the lone star in that soup of people that I interacted with that actually tells the truth. Because I didn't need to meet a performance standard for you. I was a human being regardless of the performance of my art. These other idiots, they adopted a pedestal of self-righteousness to dictate to me what my value was and the value of my idea, and they said, oh, it's nothing. So we're going to steal it from you, we're going to put our names on it. Then they tried to march that in front of Hollywood for years. Absolute asinine. Absolutely asinine. That coffee's delicious. Anyway. I have that document open. Let's open a random piece here. I like this one a lot, number 147. This is The Monster Inside. Yeah, it's so cool. So this here is a franchise. An intellectual property franchise called The Monster Inside. I don't know what it means. It's super abstract, but there you go. There's a color scheme right there. That gets you started right then and there. You got colors to work with. That'll get you the thoughts going. You have the background, life struggle. You have the logo trait explosive, another logo trait solitary. You have down deep, innovation, and edgy. So you take these traits, take that color scheme, you take the monster inside, and then you come up with a world to tell stories out of. Then you come up with your first story, beginning, middle, and end, and you turn that into an impact puzzle, and you find a way for customers to network impact, and you sell some pieces to greenlight the monster inside, and then you distribute pieces to the labor that helped you make the finished result. So once your 100% of impact is completed against the monster inside, you have a fully ready, you have a show or a film, whatever you turn that into, I don't know. But the result is yours. We don't own it as Let Me Out Productions, but the fact that you went on the journey and completed the result absolutely has brand impact for us. But you own! Here's the title. They want to call this an unregistered security. Okay. They did that to wipe their ass with my labor. They did that to enslave my labor so they can wipe their ass and platform themselves and form opinions. How many people have done this? Quite a lot. Quite a lot. A lot of strangers, a lot of the general public, just enslaving people's labor to persecute. Enslaving people's agency and meaning and ability to deliver on their own behalf just to persecute them, to platform your poo-flinging chimpanzee pedestal of behavior. It's disgusting. I've had enough. Thank God there are laws against what's happened. There are antitrust laws that these people are in violation of. The entire thing was a conspiracy to limit competition. They formed unreasonable restraint of trade with a membership narrative. It's horizontal collusion in broad daylight. And they are, to this day, fraudulently advertising with a bunch of fucking lies. Is that going to pop up? Because I don't... It's right here. Okay. These people are trying to socially engineer their position into the marquee of the impact puzzle without actually saying impact puzzle or networked impact or anything. They want to call the entire thing Film 3, and that they want to insinuate that they're the original creative studio founded in February. This is all bullshit. This was a clubhouse room that had nothing to do with being a studio, blockchain, collective ownership over intellectual property, any of that. It was a clubhouse room. Started in February 2021. It eventually evolved into a discussion space. I bring my impact puzzle material into that discussion space in May of 2021. They hold my work on public trial, establishing their own authority. They form a derivative called the Film Squad, which is a stolen trademark from Jeff Fong. They formed that derivative in July of 2021, and you can see here that they are claiming that they formed their creative studio in February 2021, a month before I wrote my paper. They're claiming to be the original Web3 Media Collective, which is bullshit. We're not even the original Web3 Media Collective. I would say that that's probably Minds.com, which we use for media distribution, ironically. So, I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about. Anyway, they jacked our whole thing, and I thought that it was egregious that they just treated me like a fucking yard boy. Okay, they treated me like I was hired to consult for them and provide them ideas. Except for that's not what I was doing. I deserve credit for my fucking work, Jordan Bain. But you're not I'm not asking for permission, by the way. I'm taking it from you. I'm coming at you fucking diseased monsters with shark teeth, which I've had the entire time, but I had to choose the right opportunity for the market to bite your fucking heads off, and now the right opportunity's here. Everybody's ready to discuss the things I want to talk about. So there's the self-righteousness that people adopt to basically transact adrenaline by using each other as toilet paper, and that's what Jordan Bain did to me, and she got Jason Charnick and Jacob Volsky in on that behavior with her, but they willingly showed up and did their part, and Jacob Volsky's are particularly a nasty fraud. Needs to be examined and stopped immediately from liquidating any more value from the Web3 community. I can't express that. He needs to be stopped immediately because he's launched yet another fraudulent thing. Please stop him. My God. I don't know what else to do. He signed a non-disclosure agreement with me. He mined us for impact puzzle intellectual property. He trashed us publicly in collusion with Jordan Bain. And then he and Jordan Bain launched their impact puzzle membership derivatives within a day of each other in August of 2022, helping each other sell their stolen IP. And the whole thing is just ridiculous fucking nonsense because they didn't need to. It's open source. All they had to do was implement the behavior as I designed and provide credit, but they wanted the credit for themselves, so they changed a word from ownership to membership, and they thought they'd get away with it. I don't know why. Because humans are really stupid. And these ones particularly are very stupid. So Hassan is right about one thing, and that I agree with him that the apes are kind of stupid. I've never been thrilled. I feel like the art is overall very minstrelly, and then there's a lot of problematic things like this one here, okay, that are in this collection that bother people. Okay. Anyway. So, I want to encourage the powers that be that watch my stuff and are using me as a behavioral coach for market growth. One, you guys need to end the conjecture-based policing, end all of the weaponized procedure. If there's a compliance issue that we actually have, it's because we're not caught up on certain state obligations in terms of financial stuff. that comes from being supported. It doesn't come from being used as toilet paper to form conjecture-based policing and weaponized procedure. I think traditionally the economy would have moved right by us. This all would have worked, and those idiots would have maybe been at the center of the marquee for my labor. Because this is just what happens. It happened to Alfred Crawley with the ice cream scoop. I'm not special. Beyond that, my great granduncle Robert Earl Jones was blacklisted for 14 years, and I'm a very spiritual person. I think that if I'm coming at all from that blessing of energy that has paved the way for me, I do need to understand to some degree what he went through. I hope y'all don't blacklist me for 14 years, but 3 years of being erased from the consequence of my own labor is a pretty thorough lesson in the cruelty of what other humans can do when they have a platform they can weaponize. And y'all used me as toilet paper to form that platform, to form the threat of the platform as well. And then you've wielded that platform as a threat. And that's why the market didn't grow. And that's why y'all don't have any fucking products. You've co-opted people with real products, but you never, none of those people that came from the original room actually have any real products. So, economic enslavement. I know enslavement is a weird word, but we're in the USA. We've never abolished slavery. I know that's a lie everybody wants to tell themselves. There's still the hard enslavement of the body, and that's done through mostly incarceration, but it can be done through economic circumstance as well. And then there's soft enslavement, which I would say 95% of society is subject to. Soft enslavement is, it's going to feel miserable because there's some conscious level where you know that you are a cog in the machine and you have no choice. You have no freedom of self-determination. Because you don't own your economic impact as property. Somebody else does. It is property, though. The intellectual property is the impact. Somebody else owns the totality of the impact, thus enslaving your impact. So I'll put it to you like this. The same way an investment is a risk-based deposit, meaning that if you invest $20 into Netflix, investing is the language that I'm using very specifically. You expect that $20 to grow in value passively, so you don't do anything else after you buy that $20 of stock in Netflix. So you've invested $20, you check it in 5 years, and it's $25. I know this because this is my exact situation. So you've earned $5 in gains from Netflix over 5 years, $1 a year. Which, at scale, you scale that up, that can actually be lucrative. But when you start at $20, that's, you can't do much with that. But with the let's check out a piece of impact in Musical Bears. Let me out, Crypto Bears Musical. Okay, $10 for Arcane Vibear. This is a bear. You buy it for $10. You take custody over it with your blockchain wallet. So now you own this data point that this bear is in. Sure, you can right-click Save As, but you can't do the official impact collaboration by curating, designing, and pricing 8 pieces of merchandise, singing a song on your bear, and then making a new bear for the puzzle. You can right-click Save As, and you can try to sell your own merchandise, but if anybody from our community catches you doing that, like you've just violated the personal agency of one of our property owners, and that carries severe penalty. So I don't know why you would when all you need to do is buy the thing for $10. You feel me? Like, so that's the whole thing with the right-click Save As people. Hassan was wrong when he's like, oh, it's not going to revolutionize the creator economy. He doesn't know anything about the creator economy. Totality of impact, that's the creator economy. The non-fungible tokens, the best use case for them is to account for that impact and to transact that impact as property, not as membership, as property. property that anchors success-based commissions or success-based residuals. Success-based commissions are for audience members that buy the pieces like this and then develop their impact. They're developing their impact can go on to create some market value, like in this case, the merchandise, and it's appropriate for them to earn commission from the market value that their impact has created. In this case, they get 50% net profit per unit from the merchandise that they've created. They put 8,000 pieces on the store. 8 pieces of merchandise, 1,000 units each in a limited release. We call this community designer fashion or impact fashion. And all y'all need to do is go to, where is it? musicalbears.fandom.com. You can read all about it here. You can see some of our proof of concept, and you can totally go merch shopping and support us by grabbing some impact fashion. Again, this bear is owned by not me. I'm the artist. I did the bear, right? But I don't own the bear. I do get royalties from the use of the bear. Slight royalty. I think I get a slight royalty per unit commission from the LMO side. I think that's it though. But regardless, the person who bought the bear, I'm not going to dox them, but I'm going to call them Ivan. Let's say Ivan bought the bear, and Ivan developed the bear by curating, pricing, designing 8 pieces of merch on the store. Ivan has not sang his song or put a new bear into the puzzle yet, but he did his merch kit. And his potential that he installed in commission for himself is $62,000. I'm not kidding. He's done these 8 pieces of merchandise. Here's the listing on the store. Here's the net profit per unit. Here's his 50 cents per unit net profit. And then here's the maximum revenue from across from each unit. And then here's his performance so far. So he's actually made $60 off the bear. And is that here? This is why I'll show you the notary service. I gotta go to bed soon. Maybe I'll try this again in the morning, or in the middle of the afternoon tomorrow. Okay, so it looks like he purchased the bear on August 1st, 2021 for $8.95. And he paid $19 to the validator. So overall, he paid $28 thereabouts. $27.94 exactly is what he paid for the bear of Here First Bear. So even off of 7 units sold, he's made $60.08. He's already doubled his position. But it's not passive gain. He had to earn that commission by creating impact. And the impact was predetermined in the property ahead of time with fixed terms. Terms are: create the impact by curating, designing, and pricing 8 pieces of merch in our systems, singing a 1-minute song on the bear for the musical, and then making a new bear for somebody else. So here's the 1-minute song on the bear for Here First Bear.
Here First Bear, ending the famine and starvation. Here First.
By the way, I'm not a musician. I'm a producer and a behavioral scientist that is trying to demonstrate the proof of concept. So I am not talented in a musical way. I did my absolute best across from 29 songs so far in my pilot demonstration.
Yo, I'm Here First Bear in my Here First lair. I was here first. I got the Here First stare. Here first on some merch. That's that Here First rare. If you help complete the puzzle, I'll meet my son Pierre. Somebody let me out. I breathe that Here First air. Put me on a Here First shirt or a Here First chair. You can't steal my spot. Got me the Here First flair. I know the art is hot. Keep your clear thirst there. This ain't about greed. Here First Bear is fair. If you help complete the puzzle, we can share. I'll finally meet my son. His name's Pierre. I was here first, I'm the here first bear. Here first bear, I'm already out of hibernation. I got a lot of friends and they all need help. Here first bear, ending the famine and starvation. Here first bear, sharing salmon and kelp.
Okay. So, I just want to recap. I'm a cognitive linguist that focuses on self-righteousness and the creation and delivery of meaning. Well, I focus on the creation and delivery of meaning overall as a behavior. And in that focus, I have a sub-focus of self-righteous prescriptivism, the self-righteousness that people adopt to dictate how meaning can be formed, to dictate the value and meaning that another human is able to have, whether or not there's objective purpose to that dictation. And in most cases, there's not. And I would say 99.9999% of cases, there's no purpose to that dictation. Now, we are in a society that loves to look for reasons to persecute each other. We call it cancel culture, but the reality is it's this sort of apolitical, automatic behavior that we've adopted where everybody is looking for things to police in each other. And this creates a environment where objective truth can be very hard to establish and agree upon. Within that environment can be taken advantage of. Look at the film Three People. I wrote a paper. It's right here. Impact Puzzles on the Almost Structure for Tokenomics. I wrote a paper. Published a paper. I actually published it in March of 2021, and where is the oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong folder. Okay. So I can't bring this particular paper up on screen because the very first page has names of people that are no longer involved with Let Me Out Productions, and they actually caused us a lot of damage early in the market, and I don't want them pretending they had any impact in what we're doing. So that has been, in June of 2021, I switched the paper to the document it's currently on. It may have even have switched past that just because my drive did a goofy reset. Is that the case? If this goes, no, I think we're good. I think this is the one. Yeah, this has got to be the one. Oh, I guess I switched this particular paper in July of 2022. Whatever, that doesn't really matter, honestly. Point is, it's about 56 pages now. Oops. And it just explains in detail my thoughts and I tried to walk through my abstract depth of thought and how I thought of impact puzzles and how I landed on them from my own experience without bogging y'all down. And the main thing about this was teaching this as a behavior so other people could adopt it, because regardless of however I feel about the potential of networking impact as property and allowing people to earn success-based residuals based on what the impact they've contributed, no matter what title they own, that's just not going to be viable unless a lot of people are adopting the behavior. And because the behavior was wrapped in the authority of a grifter and introduced to the market as membership instead of what it actually is meant to be, we are a long way off. We're way far away from where we need to be. And I did not want to come in and try to coach from behind because of what Jordan Bain and Jason Charnick and those morons did. You can clearly see that they tried to set it up so anything that I did, any win that I created for myself, actually worked for their bullshit narrative of, oh, we started this in February 2021. No, you didn't. You did not. You had nothing to fucking do with it. So all that the antagonism does is wake up the people in my life who love me and understand that I've been through hell. Trying to keep this impact behavior alive against your bullshit. Against this conjecture-based policing and weaponized procedure. To this day, the brand puzzle is disabled. Nobody has written a citation of the compliance issue. They have weaponized active procedure against my innovation with a compliance-based narrative that nobody can actually explain. The professional approach, when somebody publishes a paper, like I published, a gray literature exploration of a new behavior or a newish behavior, is if you find a contrast point that you would like to explore, you write your own paper and you explore the contrast in a paper, a published resource that everybody can read. And then that's how this process happens. I write a paper, you write a contrast paper, I write a dispute, etc. That's how this is supposed to work. Instead, I wrote the paper, I took the action of establishing the innovation, and y'all enslaved it with a radio broadcast and nonsense opinions that were maliciously introduced specifically to obscure my credit and place yourselves in the marquee of consequence for my work. I don't know what entitled you to do it, but it's over. And your career in intellectual property, even though I don't wish you ultimately any harm, I know how I feel about y'all, and y'all wouldn't work on a single thing that anybody in my collective, well, I shouldn't say my collective, but anybody in the collective is working on, is developing an impact for. No, not y'all. Because you're going to call yourselves the architects of the impact that somebody else created. That's who you are, and it's notarized. Forever. Your behavior is notarized. But thank you for being that behavior, because now nobody's going to do it again. Everybody's going to point at y'all idiots and laugh. Oh, they thought they could take out impact puzzles with the compliance narrative and name themselves the architects. Why? Why'd you do that? It's so stupid. You wasted so many people's time and attention. You probably stole about $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 from the community. The only people that are going to actually allow you to keep that money are the ones that actually felt good about meeting with you. The rest of them are going to feel defrauded. And they should. You've enslaved my labor. You enslaved my economic impact. And this is after a career of my economic impact being enslaved. I worked in the NBA for 10 years. I know the NBA doesn't want to hear it, but my impact was objectively enslaved. And it was enslaved by people that don't look like me, that took that impact and made it work for themselves without paying me a fucking dime. Without a dime. And then, like, the Vox Media people, the King's Herald group is what they call now, right? When they sued Vox Media, because nobody was paid a dime when we all worked for Vox, they sued Vox in a class action, and they left me out. The one person of the entire team, the only person who looks like me, got left out of the class action lawsuit seeking value for our impact. Because they said, oh, he gets to go to games. So that's the value of his impact. He gets to work for free. Well, we all get actual money that we get to put food on our table with. So yeah, I'm making a damn sitcom about this shit. And I encourage the players in the NBA and everybody official to help me. It's none of y'all's fault. Okay, we're looking at a very specific microcosm of a culture here in Sacramento that objectively ruined Boogie Cousins' career. These people transacted him for self-righteousness. Of course he has. He'll be the first to say he was a knucklehead, but he's a nice person. He was a nice person. And you had the media in Sacramento use him as toilet paper to transact their self-righteousness for their own opportunities. It's kind of funny because the guy who didn't do that is the only one who actually gave himself a career opportunity, and that's Sam Amick. Go figure. Good on you, Amick. I love Sam Amick. He's one of the reasons I held on for so long to that environment, even though we all know what it is. These are a bunch of people, and I love them all, but some of them know Some of them are hit dogs that I'm absolutely talking about, and some of them are not. But they'll know what I'm talking about. In Sacramento, a lot of those people would never work in any other media circuit in the world. And part of why that's the case is because they use people like DeMarcus Cousins and Marvin Bagley and even fucking Jimmer Fredette to transact their self-righteousness and put their opinions out like they're important. And that's what they call sports media. That's what they just call media overall here. It's nonsense behavior. So when the pandemic hits, I've been treated as a subvert since I got, since the new ownership, really. And they've been apparently trying to get rid of me for some time, and they found the pandemic was the way that they could form their conspiracy to limit the competition. I'm no stranger to that behavior. And, I encourage folks to connect the dots as to why certain media relations people are not there anymore. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to recap because I want to go to sleep, and I want people to buy Pieces of Impact and support my work. Human self-righteousness, it's a problem. It's not just a problem for us in that and how we treat each other. We can't network and collaborate on survival. Everybody's too busy trying to look for reasons to persecute, and that's going to require a series of conversations with a lot of people to heal that. And if y'all will let me, I will do my part in leading my part, because I am increasingly an expert in this specific focus: self-righteousness and human communication, the dictation of value when it comes to the transaction of meaning. And we need to heal ourselves from this because we're not getting along. And if you look at what's happening, I think most of us want to get along, and we want to figure out the economy side. So let's stop trying to persecute each other over stupid shit. I don't care. I don't care. If you're not hurting another person, I don't care, because I can turn you off. I can do something else. I don't need to subject myself to whatever you're saying, or whatever you're wearing, or whatever you're doing for that matter. I don't have to. I have my own freedom of choice, just as you do. My thing is, don't harm other people, and please don't harm yourself either. You deserve to exist. I'm glad you exist, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm trying to keep this as apolitical as possible. I want this message to reach everybody. Everybody's worth the message reaching them. Your impact is enslaved, and the people who have enslaved your impact, they don't know. I don't think it's a conscious thing. Some of them, yes. It's absolutely conscious. They get off on it. I get it. In my experience, especially in recent times, I'm finding that a lot more of these elites don't really understand what the hell is happening behaviorally and why the disparity is so large, because they can't really see it, but two, they really are good people with good hearts. And they're like, okay, I can't just spend all my money on the problem. That's not sustainable. There's a behavioral issue, and we can't just keep blaming people for not being able to pick up their bootstraps and ride the corrupt economy like we did. Because y'all know. Okay, my auntie in my foster foundation family, her name's Lynn. She ran a business called Placer Electric for years. Okay, this is an electrician, a contractor in Northern California. Even that business is highly political and corrupt and all this stuff, okay? So, I mean, everybody knows what the hell's going on, and the regulators, y'all, have all these systems in place that keep everybody playing ball by the rules, but then you look the other way with certain groups. And that, once you do it with one group, then nobody feels like they need to play by the rules. So, don't use my labor to make up rules against me. I did all the research for compliance purposes, and sure, we can explain the nitty-gritty and the complicated parts of it. I don't think, personally, I'm not of legal background. I'm not going to sit here and explain that to people. Provide me resources, I'll let my lawyers do it. Hey, they've been great this entire time. So I want people to buy Pieces of Impact from intellectual property merchants, develop the impact into positions for themselves where they earn commission from whatever they've developed. So if you buy a bear, you make shirts or you make merchandise, you sing a song on your bear, you make a new bear for the puzzle for somebody else to do the same thing. All three actions create impact, permanent, which makes it fundamentally part of the property. You own your impact as property. That impact anchors commissions from the market value it goes on to create. That's just musical bears. That's entry level. This puzzle we put to market again a month before Bored Apes, March 2021. Here First Bear is. Did I close him? Okay, whatever. Yeah. So we are operating 4 impact puzzles right now. We have the Let Me Out Productions brand, which is you can't buy a piece right now because OpenSea stole the property based on conjecture-based policing, and a lot of people, they don't even want to engage with us because they know they're in the wrong. And so their tactic is to compound the wrong, compound the market violence they've created, and then just stay silent about it and hope that we die. That's no way to behave. I think everybody involved over at I think OpenSea needs to be dissolved as a private business and be converted to a public utility as soon as possible, because the people running it have clearly betrayed their responsibility to the public. And I just think Devin doesn't want anything to do with it, clearly. And we need a baseline protocol exchange for impact as property. Regulators agree with me. in my opinion, from what I understand, that most non-fungible tokens are impact property, and if they're not impact property, if they don't require impact to contribute to a larger property or to that specific piece, then they're going to be more so geared towards trying to trade as an inflated instrument. And I think all cartoon cults that do wide releases of 5,000, 10,000 pieces, they're looking for that trade. They're looking for that volume inflation. Anybody doing wide releases of non-fungibles, like unique variable pieces at 10,000 pop, they're looking for value inflation. If they're semi-fungible, then that's not looking for value inflation. That's just a ticket release. Okay, so musical bears, all the terms are on the website at Let Me Out Productions, letmeout.productions. Go to active puzzles, you can read about them. I'm doing everything myself, and I tried to. We had a customer come in a few months ago that I googled their publicly available name. Turns out they come from a regulatory background, and we started thinking that they were a regulator trying to honey plant us for leverage, and we have no reason to believe otherwise, and that sucks. We really want the first customer to actually develop scalable impact. But there you go. Here's impact in crypto bears. You can catch and release. You buy one, you make a new bear. Merchandising, expertise, collaboration, and then you participate in the musical. We have Shirley, though, which is an experiment with AI prompting and a celebration of Shirley from Web3 community. Then we have Press Pass Season 1, which is our sports media mockumentary sitcom. You buy a piece of the Season 1, you create a character in the show lore, you develop your impact by role-playing your character, then you shoot a meme based on the role-play that you've created, and the meme forms the archive for a documentary. Some of the memes will be used in episodes across from paid bounties. A lot of the memes will be used in advertisements for the show. That's the only way we're advertising the show, is by using the memes from the bounties, using the memes from the archive. And then all of the memes will be available as digital collectibles in the show. That needs infrastructure work, but we have everything lined up. I just did what I do for everything else. Did what I do for The Bachelor, did what I do for Smosh, did what I do for Young Turks. You organize a production plan and you line everything up, ready to execute. In this case, we just need funding. Now, I am in the process of adjusting numbers because 2021 looks different than July 2024. Especially with the new CBAs that we are so thrilled to accommodate. I can't wait. Brand puzzle, press pass, musical bears, surely though. If you value my labor, please buy a puzzle piece or at least just throw a couple bones toward my PayPal. In fact, I should leave a comment. And then I'll do another stream on this later and follow up on it, but for now I think I need to go to sleep. Okay, I want credit for my work, y'all. I don't want people going off and repeating the points that I'm making without giving me credit, without pointing people back to the video, without putting economic value into my life. I'm 34 years old. My economic impact has always been enslaved by other people and forced to work for them, create value for them, and they have never so much as decided to share a dime with me in most cases. In most cases. There have been amazing production houses that I've worked with, like ABC and Discovery and Showtime. I don't have a bad word to say about y'all. You are the angels. You have given me great examples for how to do everything. And you've given me examples to strive for in terms of workplace quality and product quality. But I think a lot of people are looking to persecute. A lot of people are looking for the platform to harm another person, to platform their own self-righteousness. And I've been subject to that my entire career because I got kicked out of foster care the day I turned 18. And my economic impact as a disabled person in that condition is just available to be exploited because I'm not coming from a support system. I'm coming from a control system. And that control system stamped me with self-righteousness, stamped me as you are toilet paper to be used by other people to transact self-righteousness. They did this by changing my name. They changed my name, okay? I was born with the name Kimani Okearah Wallace. Kimani Okearah. Those are the two choices that my mother provided for me. Kimani means descendant of a great ancestor, or ascendant of a great ancestor. Okearah means bringer of great change and beauty. Kimani is a Kikuyu word, I believe, and Okearah is just a general loose Bantu origin word. Because my mom was on crack or on other substances the entire time I did know her, once I did meet her as an adult, I only met her about 4 or 5 times. We never really had an actual conversation because she was never sober. My name is the only real conversation we've ever had, and the state poisoned me, sold me to strangers, and the strangers have attempted to change my name. Legally, they did change my name. Spiritually, they can't change my name. I will not participate in their self-righteousness to purchase another human being and treat them as a pet, which is, to this day, how I'm treated by those people. My economic impact has been enslaved my entire pursuit in this economy, including the invention of impact puzzles, which was enslaved by Jordan Bain, Jason Charnock, Jacob Volksky, and Chris Hackett. Bunch of fucking clowns. Happy Madison, I want you to get rid of Jason Charnock. I don't care what blowback comes to me. He is not to be trusted around your intellectual property. He will declare something illegal and then go around and call himself the architect of it. Or he'll platform some moron who is willing to do those things to create a market advantage for themselves. These people are disgusting monsters that have no business in intellectual property markets. They have platformed their own self-righteousness by enslaving my labor, and they've weaponized that platform to harm many other merchants, not just me. I've already done that a number of times, but I guess I'll load it up. Oh yeah, here's Jordan Bain sending me a message back when she thought I would be a party to their collusive bullshit. That Alex of Arabian Camels hacked the blockchain to display a false volume on OpenSea. that the man would hack the blockchain to display a. First of all, you can't hack the blockchain. She sent this in May of 2022, slandering another merchant in the space, trying to create a compliance narrative that would hurt their ability to network their impact. This is who y'all platformed. This piece of shit. This lying fucking clown. Shame on all of them. But I hope they enjoy their membership to their AI Film Festival. I hope that works out really well for them in the industry. All it did was prove that your behavior is entitlement to the work of others, that you're going to put your own name on. It just happens that it's like compounding with these idiots. The Film Squad is a trademark owned by somebody else. Film 3 is a trademark owned by somebody else. They're plagiarizing impact puzzles. They've weaponized the platform that they created from plagiarizing my work to harm other merchants and scrub out a path that they think is reserved for them only. And there's no objective purpose to it. They don't have a goal. They never had a solution. They've just been bastardizing other people's solutions for the marquee of it. And that's why after 3 years, we're nowhere. These people they're still in the way of impact puzzles, and everybody in so-called Film 3, I won't fuck with you if you brand under that, I want to be clear. Because of this bullshit. But y'all are welcome to come in and develop impact. Buy a fucking character and press pass for $30 and just try it out. Lord knows I need to pay some bills. So we need to stop persecuting each other. We are basically just using each other's toilet paper to transact misery. We need to stop forming intellectual property as one unit, and we need to start forming intellectual property as puzzles. We need to start accounting for impact in the totality, in the result of that puzzle. And now every human that contributes impact to the intellectual property can own their impact as property. From the consumer side, they can develop impact into a commission position. From the labor side, they're already developing impact into a success-based residual commission. So, I wanted to finish this point. In the same way that risk-based deposit, when you invest something, when you invest money, you are investing risk. You're depositing risk against a potential reward. And you, as the consumer, have certain protections and rights when you engage in that sort of contract. Now, when we sell intellectual property through risk debt reward scenario, we're speaking for all of the merchant is speaking for all of the impact required to complete that intellectual property. So the merchant is selling the labor required to complete the intellectual property ahead of time in most cases. And that's where the enslavement transaction occurs. That enslaves everybody's impact to work for the purchaser of the intellectual property. So right now, I do believe there are certain purchasers of these IPs that are trying to prevent any other system from taking hold. That said, I think that's few and far between. I believe there's big Wall Street firms that agree with me, that want to see my behavior take hold. Now, my model's open source. Write the deed, form a puzzle, sell some pieces, distribute some pieces, and then use the entire system to network whatever your relationships are on the blockchain in a permissionless and trustless way. I don't think you have to launch in permissionless and trustless way. I think it's a great idea, usually in most cases, to get a sample of the behavior of creation of impact first, and then build infrastructure around the sample. I don't think you go in with the infrastructure ahead of time and then force the impact creation along the infrastructure. I think it's a backwards approach. Past that, my structure, the breakdown of 30% to creator, 35% to publishing platform, 20% to labor, 10% to audience, and 5% to union. That's for us. That's the Elmo structure. That's what we're doing. We know that's sustainable, and so does the big people. So do the big boys, and that's, I think, why y'all are so afraid of our success, is because y'all don't want to see 20% go to labor. but you're running the same numbers I'm running. You're making more money. You can afford 20% to labor, or I always put it this way. It comes down to the product. What looks like what LMO is doing at 20% to labor might be like it might be 5% to Walmart. Like Walmart, every Walmart store might do 5% to their team of the net profit produced by the store. And that might be the same exact residual numbers as what we're doing at 20%. So that's why the structure is malleable, because y'all can go adjust it as you need, as you want to implement it, but you do have to compete. So in show business, it's very likely that most films and television shows are going to have to distribute 20% property and 20% net profit to labor. But you're selling 10% expanded impact, which adds more than enough revenue to cover the 20% to labor. I've made sure of it in most cases, and that's even just off the standard impact creation relationship, which for the most part is going to be merchandising. Let's all be real. But if everybody's doing impact fashion or impact merchandising and offering commissions based, everybody's going to sell out those relationships all the time, and it's going to be great. It's going to be what a great collaborative economy that is. That only a cognitive linguist could think of. I had to sneak it in there. I had to. I'm tired. I want to pat myself on the back a little bit. So yeah, let's just adjust the economy. Can we skip all the bullshit? We don't need to do this anymore. You're looking at the fucking clown who declared the ownership over impact pieces is illegal, has to be membership, and that they were the architect. So they're the ones that caused all of the mess this entire time with this conjecture-based policing. If they didn't get in the way and enslave my agency, because what that does is it says that any time that I speak on anything, I'm actually contributing to these lies. This is not true. We're the first impact puzzle. We came in March of 2021, so these idiots are saying they came in February and loosely insinuating that they're the architects of my work. Everything I put out in public works for that, unless I state very clearly and separately that these people have nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with my work. All they did was cause damage. Oh, here you go. Here you go, people. That's me and my granduncle. We really do have similar faces, and that creeps me out. Not because he's a good looking chap, but what I mean is, like, I grew up without looking like anybody, and then all of a sudden, I never looked at Darth Vader growing up. I never looked at James Earl Jones growing up and been like, oh, I look like that guy. It never even crossed my mind. What? Why would that cross my mind? Why would that come up? I always tell people, it's like, okay, you can police grandnephew of the guy if all you want. That's a really weird thing to police. I tell you what, if I made up I couldn't. I don't see the objective purpose in making things up for clout. What? But if I were, it would be to troll, and if I were to do that, I'd say I was Lenny Kravitz's son, because that's hilarious. The elites, I know you guys don't, well, it's clear to me that there's a good portion of the elites out there that don't want to enslave economic impact. It makes them uncomfortable. They're looking for solutions. I think I have the solution. I think all we need to do is define intellectual property as puzzles and then distribute pieces according to impact. That's it. Okay, creators and platforms can keep the inappropriate amount of pieces that they see fit to be sustainable and be successful themselves, but also keep in mind that those holds have to be appropriate for consumers to want to purchase their impact on from the puzzle as well. Impact puzzles don't compete with entity investment because a puzzle with 10 million pieces, again, that's my suggested cap, is selling the consumer impact for about $500 a piece. That's like an expensive Xbox. So what company is going to be able to do that? Disney. That's about it. Platforms like that, of that scale and of that nature, are going to be able to do that. LMO's never going to be able to do that. So, okay, y'all. I am so tired. I will do more streams on this later. I want to actually coach what to do after you buy a piece of press pass or you buy a bear. But for the bears, if you buy a bear, go on our Discord server, register your property, and a collaboration thread will open up, and from there you can curate and design your price or merch right away. You can also write your song and sing your song and upload it to the server right away, and you can design your new bear with a template and upload that to the server right away. So you don't need any interaction with us whatsoever. Press past Season 1, you can create your character, register your character on the wiki, and then roleplay with other characters to form some lore to then shoot memes based on. We will explain those in depth on a later time, but for now, if you value what I've been teaching, please just offer a donation to my PayPal. I am at wit's end. I can't afford to pay any bills. Again, I introduced Impact Puzzles to the market. These people stole it from me, called it membership, liquidated the value of the attention that should have gone to my work, and have done nothing with it, as I expected. Okay. Smosh, Anthony, Ian, y'all know damn well about what owning your Impact as property now looks like. So I know horizon-wise, y'all have a little bit of concerns. I think what we're doing here can be symbiotic. So please just come in. Rest. I'll come down and shoot a couple things with y'all, but make sure the check is sizable so I can get an apartment. Okay. All right. Okay, Ant, you got me. Well, who cares about the 2015 stuff? I tried to make some adjustments. Y'all weren't having it, but yeah, now y'all making the adjustments, but you ain't gonna go back and adjust the pain. Come on now, let's go. Let's go. Let's clean it up. You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed, as Obi-Wan did. I'm a little too tired for that, but it's there. 90% accuracy. All right, y'all. This has been Let Me Out Productions and the Top Brass Dow. Hey. I'll catch you on the down low.